and welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to do a deep dive of a Kickstarter that just came in, which is Remembering the Sweet Fool Tarot by Trisha Murray. And I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison with another deck that I just picked up, which is the Tarot Original 1909, which I got on my trip to Maine. So it's a bit of an excuse to pull this one out as well, to do a side-by-side comparison. The Remembering the Sweet Fool kind of does its own thing. So sometimes it can be hard to really grasp what's happening on the card and in the guidebook. It doesn't offer a lot of information as to exactly what you're looking at and why it was chosen. So I thought it would be fun to do a side-by-side to really get in and try and figure out the thinking behind the image on the card. So the deck itself has been created using a mixture of photography, found object, kind of formed into a creative thing like we see here, and then really close photographs, affinity photo, to kind of manipulate the photos to give them different colors. And I'm going to throw up an image of her photographing an object for the deck, and I believe it's the Three of what she calls points, or Three of Swords card, which is really interesting to kind of see her process there. And so the back of the cards that we're seeing here is actually an owl feather that she found, and just beautiful. What I particularly love about this deck is I consider myself a bit of a nomad. So for me, place is very sacred. And when a deck carries a place with it, it's always very special and has a really special energy. And I feel like in this deck, you can really feel the energy of Scotland, of the deck's place of creation. So let's dive in and see what we make of the cards here, and where we can find their meaning in comparison to the RWS that I have here. The deck itself is quite chunky, but it's easy to shuffle, and it's really nice cardstock. So we can see a kind of side-by-side comparison. You can see it's quite a thicker deck, but the cardstock is quite thin and flexible. So it's easy to shuffle. And I love how the really large rounding on the corners too is a really nice touch and brings that kind of gentle feeling. Okay, let's get started. So we start here with the Fool. I think the white feather with, comparing that to the Fool's white rose and that innocence and that new adventure. Next, we move on to the Magician. And I think we can see here in the Magician, it's similar to the RWS, and all the tools are at their fingertips. Trisha says that the spark, or the download from the deck, came from a little bird. And so we see the little bird here on the fingertip. And the guidebook kind of expresses that. The magic in your very fingertips that brings life to the clay. Gently hold open your hands and receive the gift of a burnt twig, and remember how to play. Beautiful. So next we have the High Priestess and the Empress. I am the wondrous great sea of endless possibilities. I welcome the warmth of heart that moves softly through me. I am the golden bird that bathes in the light of life all day long and shares the treasured songs of knowing we all belong. Then we have the Emperor is another bird. I sit at the top of the tallest tree, the owner of myself, sovereign, and all I see. And the Hierophant. You ask me what, where, when, why. I look and see everything under the endless sky. I hold the key to the tight little box that holds the rule book, the pen, the map, the rocks. I know the route, the road, the number on the door, but it is only you who can walk through and ask me more. I have the Lovers with the two birds. And here's our first one that doesn't have the birds on it. There is a curious power when we work together through the heart to create many little steps a great journey make. Oh, it's interesting with this like combined energy here of the little smaller pebbles or rocks here helping to drive the chariot. And I've renumbered this. Strength was 11, but I put it in at number 8 just so we can do our side-by-side comparison here. There is a fire burning deep in my heart. It yearns to rise up and meet with the sun. So next we have the Hermit and a bird sitting in solitude. So the Wheel of Fortune. This reminds me a little bit of the Wheel of Fortune in the Herb Crafter's Tarot. Now we have Justice, which in this deck it is 8, but I've put it at 11. And it talks about shifting balance of divine will. I feel like this one is a little bit similar to our High Priestess. Let's have a look at the difference here. Between our High Priestess and Justice. It's interesting. We do have the pillars here with our High Priestess and the tree with Justice. Like heavenly tides that turn with a great pull, like the in and out breath of the sweet fool, the life force flows throughout the sands of time, ever moving, never still, in the constant shifting balance of divine will. So this one feels a bit more like moving energy, like the life force and directing the life force. Interesting. So we have the Hanged Man next, which is all the objects hanging from the tree. I will hang there till I remember I can fly, when I let go of the little voices telling me to deny. And next we have Death. It's interesting. I wonder what we're looking at this here. This is the first one that I kind of am wondering what we're seeing. What does not fit now? The expanse of my being, the movement of my soul. My dance with my dear has ended, and I gently with love let go, for I cannot hear the sound of a new song that flows so sweet and true. Interesting. I'm kind of seeing a hand now in the image. You know, kind of a broken hand, or like maybe a full stop with the Death card. Yes. And next we have Temperance with our cat. I am not you and you are not me, and like you, I do not need to be, for us to sit with each other and respectfully see that there is a place for us all to live and breathe. A space for us all to thrive in the great river of abundance and plenty. There is no need for our cups to ever run empty. It's interesting. So we're working on with the energy here of the bird and the cat, and their kind of how they can work together within their differences, which is interesting. And next we have the Devil. Interesting. That's cool. That's very cool. So we have the Tower here. Oh, it's building the nest and it's been pulled apart. And here we have the Star, the light at the center of our very being, the vital spark held in the seed of every cell. Our essence shines and sings and knows each and every star as we open and remember the lightness in all that we are. And here we have the Moon. And our birds are back here. The light that finds a way to shine, even in the dark. The moon likes to play her brilliant illuminating part. The curtains open and all is revealed. She reflects in the light as wounds begin to be seen and healed. Ooh, I love that. I love that one. Very cool. So next we have the sun. As your richness flows through and meets me, your golden light warming my heart so ever deeply. And we have judgment. I am home here in my heart, in everything I take part. No separation, no space between. All our actions will ultimately be seen. And finally, we have the universe or the world. No path can be wrong, one short, another long. The sun sets and another dawn. It feels like a welcoming into this garden of the Empress. To me, kind of finding the way to the next garden. Very cool. So next we're going to go into the minors, and I'm going to start with the cups here. On our little shell here, it says, I allow myself to receive. And it says in the guidebook, when I let go of the resistance and open to the flow, my heart wide, and over an ever great fool, I allow myself to receive the light divine, and into the little golden bird says it's truly mine. I love this kind of receiving as well as giving energy in the Ace of Cups here. And in the Two of Cups, we can see these two little figures in the light here in the middle of that image. Beautiful. It almost looks a little bit to me like the inside of a womb. Next we have the Three of Cups. I stand in the divine flow like a waterfall of liquid that streams deep into the earth's very core. Together emerge more. So in the Four of Cups, when the shine is lost and in greed and grime, do I have my share? Do I have what's mine? What do you have? How do we compare? How do I judge and quantify the value and worth of a stick, a stone, a thought, a heart, a home, a sod of well-trodden turf, empty barrenness? We have these clay heads underneath. The Five of Cups here, we have that hand, almost feels like that hand that we saw in the Magician and in the Tower, and it's kind of letting go of those objects. A story of a once before of precious cups broken, lying, crying on the floor, cutting strings, and an open door. The Six of Cups. There is a place I dream of, a place I once knew. It pulls my heart as I wish I was there too. And I wish I was there when I actually was and learnt to be in present and true. Cool. We have the Seven of Cups, which just looks like an eye looking through. These flowers to me almost look like little fairies. I've stood here too long and wandered, for my heart was filled with your intoxicating song, and the day has turned, the light soon gone, and still I stand here and ponder. Ooh, interesting. We have the Eight of Cups. There was a time, but that has gone. Interesting. What are we looking at here? It feels like that movement, that flow forward, definitely coming through. Almost like the tide going with the tide, the changing tide. We have the Nine of Cups. I wish you well, fool of golden essence light, flowing with possibilities of wondrous, colorful, infinite delight. I feel like we can see that, like the Seven of Cups, those little flowers in this one too. Like at this point the choice has been made, and, you know, bounty has come. And here we have the 10. This one's beautiful. The story is completed. All the flowers gently align. Bathing in the cup of plenty, my heart is full and overflowing with the unconditional love of the divine. So we have our first court card here. I gently gather the full pearls of sparkling morning dew that softly dance so magically in the air. A dragonfly comes and I offer it a drink. For my cupped hand it winks. We have the Son of Cups. So it's kind of choosing its path, and I feel like this is the water underneath, like almost in the Son of Cups, like choosing its form as water. So cool. And then we have our Queen of Cups, again reminiscent of our High Priestess and our Justice card. Come sit with me in my cup of plenty, and I will listen and catch your tears gently. Oh, beautiful. Stringing them with diamonds and gold, and heart songs and precious stories that need to be shared and told. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful Queen of Cups. And our King of Cups. I welcome the flow of the golden no that washes deeply through me. It fills my cups to full from empty with all the inner eyes can see. So we have this golden color with the King of Cups. Okay, so now we move to our Ace of Sticks, Ace of Wands. And this one seems pretty clear. The first spark. And then we have the 2. Again, seems to be quite traditional here. You can really see the meaning clearly. And then our 3 is a little bit different here. With the gift of creativity and a little ingenuity, a simple stick can be anything the inner eyes can see. Very cool. Okay, now we have our 4 sticks. That light coming in again. A tabernacle, offerings of your kin, gatherings of all they've been, keeping you safe to roam the woods, stand on all they gift, for in the light your head they lift. Very cool. And in the 5, when the binds keep things tight, do we struggle and fight, or use our gift of creating and life's heart fires ignite? So is this a conflict, or are they using it to create something else? I love how those little figures there almost look like little people creating this thing jointly. And are they sort of tying these things to create a, you know, the base for the fire, or is it all going to, you know, come crashing down because they're unable to work together? So we have our 6 of sticks that looks like a ladder. It's the little steps that come together, discovered over time, that delight fool. I elevate when aligned to reveal a greater gift so precious and divine. Reaching the top of the ladder. And we have our 7. And our 8. And our 9. Build strength over time from carrying the heavy load. I'm reaching a hilltop. I rest a little, but do not stop, for the next stick will be gold. Oh, it's this overwhelm of this creature that looks a bit like the bird gathering the twigs and gathering so many and having a rest. And the 10 of sticks. Here we are. You did the work. You came through transformed on the journey of life's fire into something beyond and wonder. Fool, I knew. It's interesting because this feels like this completion, but I don't see that kind of, that overwhelm of the 10. But the bundle has been gotten. And we have the page, and this is the Daughter of Sticks. There's a bright light that burns in me, smoldering deep inside. I feed it precious twigs of discovery and bring it in to life. Oh, and again, the Sun of Sticks is that similar energy that we had to the Sun of Cups, in that kind of this glass, or this almost looks like ice to me. I stretch over my arms and invite you to see the light that travels always in me, shining it so bright that it lights a joyous path through the heart of the dark night. It almost feels like if this is like the ice around that flame is breaking through. Then we have our Queen. Our Queen, again, with our kind of figure, the figure here of the High Priestess and Justice, and the last Queen that we saw. Pitch black with no light, I keep the fire burning, the beacon that calls you back home. Very cool, very cool. And then we have our King. I stand tall, but deeply grounded through the very center, holding my arms toward the night sky. I'm the circle of warm shelter. So next we have the Ace of Points, or the Ace of Swords. I'm just going to move these piles so we have a little bit more space. The Ace of Points. I am the point, clear, strong, and bright, piercing through the mist of the empty and the unruling night. Bring form and clarity aligned to insight, grounding through my center, anchoring me deeply in the flow of the universal light. We have our Two of Points, or Two of Swords. This feels like a bit more combining of two different energies together, rather than that kind of indecision of the Two of Swords. It feels like using both of these energies, or perhaps they're conflicting energy or opposing forces here. And we have our Three of Points. This almost feels to me like he's standing on a beach and can let it go or choose to keep it there, you know, or that moment of the Three of Swords, when it's kind of that conflict of the mind and remembering things. I love the kind of reflective energy of this, like the thinking. It feels like he's thinking, you know, about something serious, about something that's perhaps been painful. I am getting that energy from this Three. And then the Four created his own little box here. I love the energy of this one. This is beautiful. And we have our Five, very pointy. Ooh, it feels like this, like in getting the pearl, you might cut yourself, you know, and is it worth doing that? Is it worth taking the risk? Here we have the Six, and that path feels like it's, here we see this path, you know, and there's the light, and it's like taking that next step. Cool. Our Seven. Interesting, like this flower has holding on to that nail or needles. Needles here at the base. Interesting. Eight of Points. I feel like there's kind of a trap here. You know, how to find the way out. you know, looking to go out this way, not moving, but it's all open behind. Neat. The 9 points. I stand rigid still with fear, stuck, no path to follow. No light appears to guide me through this deep, dark hollow. I venture inside to seek refuge and hide, and there, so deep, just in sight, I see my warm, ever-essence light. This feels a bit like stagnation and not knowing which way to go, right? Fear of moving in either direction. Interesting. This feels like the end of the path, like that they can't go forward. Very cool. And we have our Daughter of Points here, or a Page of Swords. And we have our Son of Swords, our Son of Points. This feels like real movement. You can see the movement and almost the sword in this image. Very Fae-like, this one, I think, with our Knight. Sparks of idea. Interesting. And our Queen again is the same figure with her sword here. And our King. It feels like this King is kind of leading our way through the forest, clearing the path for us. And next we move to our Pentacles, and in this deck it's Hills. So we have our Ace of Hills, which I kind of like this association with the hills. It's very, you know, we're in the element of earth here, so it does feel appropriate. So we're on an island here in our Ace of Hills, an island of self I be, a soft rich earth warmed in the sun, and Eden sowing seeds of life now begun. Beautiful. Beautiful. And we have our two. Oh, I love the reflection of the bird in this one. Here is where I meet and dance with my dreams as they intertwine and flow, and becoming the other so more we can all know. This feels like a point of self-discovery, reflection. We see the infinity symbol here in the water that's mirrored in the Two of Pentacles here, and that flow that's working. Interesting. So we have our 3 next. When we have our 3 almost hooded figures here, we stand together but not apart. We are complete where we meet, in the adding to and making more. Some witchy energy going there. So we have our 4 of Hills. This looks like my little guy here. I wonder if that's him. 4 of Hills, all paths lead me here, in through my heart, my home, to all the love I have ever known. A fire to warm, a garden tended and sown, an open breath, myself to own. Interesting. So our 4 of Pentacles here is really about that structure and security, that 4 in the element of earth. Very cool. So we have our 5. So we have our empty seed store here in the 5. So you have the 6. I feel like there is this kind of giving, receiving energy here of the bounty. You know, the tree giving up into what looks like almost pears or fruit, and then kind of the energy source or the sun behind giving back to the earth. We have our 7. Ooh, that's cool. It feels like kind of creativity and figuring out how to try new things. This is an interesting one. So next we have our 8. A story in honor of our ancestors. I see the golden flax dancing in the field as a fine linen slip with a delicate lace detail. A shirt, a sail, I see a fallen tree, I see their hands working through their hands still. This feels like a honoring of this ancestral energy here, of the hard work that was completed and accomplished, you know, in the past. We have our 9 of Hills, finding our treasure, our hidden treasure. And we have the 10. The universe welcomes you into the great sapphire river to share with the celestial birds an endless feast of mountains, sparkling berries, silver and gold. This feels like an abundance again, but it's like sharing that abundance. I love that sapphire river. That's cool. We have our Daughter of Hills. This feels very Christmassy. Oh, it feels like welcoming the Daughter of Hills here, welcoming us to her dinner table. I feel like that's a pomegranate up there, which is interesting. I think there's a lot you could read into this particular image. And then we have our Knight of Pentacles, or our Son of Hills. It feels like this journey to the, you know, to the altar, to the sacred land. And we have our Queen of Hills. I am the vast rolling hills that welcome the first rains of day that sparkles like diamonds on the sweetest grass, ready to nourish the young fawn and mother. This is more that caretaker energy, but I feel like it's like almost spirit of land here. It's very interesting. This suit particularly, I feel like this deck has some ancestral energy that's really coming in that I didn't see on my kind of first initial look at the deck. And our King of Hills. On a mountain and valley or forest or hill, life finds a way of expressing its divine will, growing and thriving, meeting the sun, life's possibilities never done. Very cool. So what I want to do next is, because there were all these that look kind of a little bit similar, and I just want to lay them all out together and just see kind of the energy of them, and so I've laid them and their differences. I've laid them all out here. So we have these two that we see in the majors, one in the minors that shows up in the 3 of Pentacles, and then our queens. And so let's look at our queens first. So I feel like the energy of the suit is really showing here. We have the cup with the Queen of Cups. I'm just trying to think if the titles were missing from all of these. I think that you could still really tell the energy that they're kind of embodying. And it was obviously a very intentional choice to kind of keep the same figure throughout in our queens here. And I wonder if the idea was that these queens are kind of almost energy sources, where we have the energy of water, and you can almost feel that flow and that shining empathic nature here. And then with our Queen of Sticks, that kind of fire coming up, the keeper of flame. And we can definitely see our sword here and our Queen of Points. And I like the feathers in the background here with that air element. And then this Queen of Hills is very ancestral and very keeper of the land. So I think it actually does really work well with the same figure, like repeating through in our queen here. And in our High Priestess, I feel like it's a really powerful image with these pillars, and then our Fool, who is that bird shining bright on her head, is really cool. And then our 3 of Pentacles here working together with that energy, and it's almost like, we're all little fool birds, and here we are like coming together on our paths together. And I kind of love that idea of like, there's not just one bird and one fool, but here we are, like we're all on this fool journey. And I think it brings that kind of energy into the idea, which I don't feel like I've seen that in another deck where I've really thought about that. The one that I'm kind of struggling with a little bit, I would say, is Justice. in that it doesn't feel, you know, very justice like for me. I suppose down at the bottom here, we can perhaps like grasp those scales. And I think maybe that's what I'm missing here is the scales here. But there we do see that balance. She's very centered in our image here. We have the Fool kind of shining above on the head here. And I suppose if we look at it more in this energetic flow kind of way, instead of the traditional kind of justice interpretation. And I'm seeing now this stick kind of running across here. So, I mean, I suppose this could be our scale, you know, where you would put your weighted ends on either side here. But this one, I suppose, is taking me a little longer to kind of come home with the meaning. But I think it definitely works in the Queen's and in the High Priestess. I want to just have another look through at the cards that, to me, where the meaning is very clear, and the ones that are maybe not so clear. So the Magician, I think, is clear. The Fool, the Wheel of Fortune, the Hermit, I can definitely grasp. The Strength is a little bit harder here, I think. I'm just seeing these figures here coming, like almost, they feel like they're almost battling a little bit. I feel like for these ones that I personally am struggling with, I feel like that it's forcing a little bit more work to kind of grasp me, but I think that's going to be pretty powerful. I had pulled the Chariot card before and kind of got my own, you know, kind of gathered the meaning from it. So that's clear. I think the Lovers is clear. The High Priestess, the Emperor, the Empress is beautiful. The Hanged Man, Death. I feel like where I was struggling a little bit with finding that meaning is more in the minors. But I think after doing this walkthrough of the deck, like it's coming back to me, everything that we kind of looked at and discussed during the video. So I feel like the meanings are going to become clear pretty quickly in using the deck. I really enjoy the energy of the deck. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I feel like it's perfect for this time of year. It does feel like the kind of this winter energy with the, you know, with the empty, like the leaves off the trees and the kind of dried twigs. And I think it's absolutely perfect for this time of year. And it's definitely going to be staying on my reading table for me to work with this season. So thank you so much for joining me for my deep dive at Remembering the Sweet Fool, so that I could maybe get some you know, a little bit more of an idea of what's going on in the deck for when I'm working with it and seeing how the cards resonate for me and if it really works. Because when I back to this Kickstarter, if the deck had probably been on its own on Kickstarter, I might not have backed it, because I actually really just wanted the other two Oracle decks. But I feel like this is going to be a very unique deck in my collection, and something that's really going to provide some powerful readings. So thank you so much for joining me and doing our little walkthrough of Remembering the Sweet Fool Tarot.